Hummingbird takes us off the deep end, and catching wahoos over here at the CCA workbench is what we're going to talk about this week, Dave.
Taking my hat off to show everybody I still have hair.
What does that mean?
I don't, nothing, just to say it.
Well, you know what? I still got big rods and reels, too.
Yes, you do. That's the Macara 32 speed.
Yeah.
That'll catch any wahoo swimming around Florida, probably.
You think?
I think
It'd be a good
so.
combo.
Well, you know, wahoos, they have a reputation of being the barge, you know, he's the barge speedster. He's a really fast fish. He's good for about one good long run, you know, unless he's over 50 pounds. If he's 50 pounds or under, you get this one good long screeching run, and then he kind of comes back to the boat like a barracuda, shaking his head and whatnot. And then you get him close, and he'll take off again. And that's where they get off a lot, is right close to the boat, you know, because they got those, you know, horrific pair of dentures they got. I mean, it's got very razor sharp teeth. It's like a bony ridge. It's not even a tooth. It's just like a sharpened bone. And what they do is they come and they take the tail off a bait, right, and then they come back and get the rest. And that thing is just like a razor. And you get fish back and you say, I can't believe it's cut so clean. It looks like somebody took a beautiful knife and cut it. But what happens is they come in and they'll get on a single hook or a double hook, and they use it as a lever and can get off. You know, so a lot of the times before, when we were trolling plugs around, this is all stuff from my Wahoo bucket. It came straight out of my Wahoo bucket at home. When we're using these, we used to use these old plugs, little tremblers and stuff, with the double hooks on them. Well, we'd get a lot of bites on them, but we'd lose them a lot. Why? Because they get these two hooks in there, and they could use them as a lever and get off. Oh. But so then they started with the new ones. The single hook. Well, they started going to the single hook, and this is a braid marauder, and it's got swivels on the hooks too, so that when he gets hooked in there, it'll twist around and twist around and twist around, and it ain't gonna come off that bony ridge. Because that's the really hard part about hook. You get a lot of wahoo bites. It's not as bad as a tarpon where you count how many you jumped off versus how many you catch. But you get a lot of wahoo bites, especially when you're using plugs. And when you're places where there's a lot of kingfish around, a lot of times you'll get a lot of wahoo bites, and you don't even know it's a wahoo bite until you get, you know, a big bait back and it's been half or something. But like they said before, there's a couple ways to do it. A lot of guys like to go fast these days. They'll pull something shiny or something dark. Now this here is something made to go fast. All it is an octopus skirt with a bunch of leads put in it, and then a big metal, and then a big wire cable leader in it. Right. And you can use two, you know, a double hook rig because you're fishing for wahoos. A lot of guys will use a double hook. I catch them with a single hook just as good. And a lot of times, you know, I feel that if you have two gaps back here that he can grab a hold of and get the gap instead of in the way, then that's another way that he can get off. The other way is to go slow, like I always learned how. You know, when we're fishing for kingfish and dolphin and everything else, we want to catch wahoo too. So we troll a lot of island lures and stuff like that. This is an island lure with a wire rig on it, and I'll troll those around, especially the dark ones. I love, you know, the dark
like
ones.
Dark colors?
Well, I think it's easier for them to see. You know, all bait fish are colored dark on the top and white on the bottom for a reason. And when that thing's moving dark through the water, they can see that contrast and they can pick it out a lot better. That's why we use, a lot of times we'll pull a lot of shiny stuff too, you know, because they like shiny, sparkly things. They're very sight specific feeders. They're looking all the time. And if they see something shiny, that's why that drone spoon right there is great, or that lead jig. I also have a drone spoon here somewhere. It's just,
so this you would like find a floating debris, drop it down 200 feet, and then just
drag it all the way up to the top.
Up.
Yeah. Anytime you stop on any kind of, like Patty said, structure that's floating, especially if it's deep in the water, like a big log or a refrigerator that only the top's up, or even a white bucket. We've caught a lot of wahoos on white buckets before, and usually don't catch anything on white buckets. But dang, if a bunch of wahoos will stack up on them sometimes. And if you get out there and start casting those jigs, you'll crush them. Is that like drone spoon? Yeah, that's another diamond jig. Yeah. But here's this drone spoon. That drone spoon never stopped catching wahoo. People stopped pulling it. That thing still catches wahoo and kingfish, that drone spoon.
The boys on the Thomas Flyer love it.
Exactly, because that thing keeps catching fish, and it doesn't cost that much.
I love all the great information that you gave us today.
Well, if there's one thing I'd catch every once in a while, it's wahoo.
So Dave, I want to show you, we're going to take a photo. Today I had a guide that I was guiding. This is Austin Owens from Atlanta. And Austin and I were out catching Goliath groupers. He had a big fish on, This is why it's important to wear your costas to protect your eyes. If you take a look at the second picture, what happened is the Goliath went under the boat and broke the braided line. And when it did, because the line touched the boat, the second guide on the big heavy rod we were using came up and hit him right here. Broke his costas, and if he would have had a hat on, it would have hit the bill.
Was he using a harness?
Yeah, we had him in a harness. And
never take your left hand off the top of the reel. Never take your left hand off there.
But there's a reason why to wear your sunglasses
That's true.
and also to wear a hat so that it stops it from hitting you in the head.
One of the first things we tell people in the chair when they're fighting, never take your left hand off the reel because the line breaks, the rod's hitting you in the face.
There you go.